Hello there and welcome to another one. I trust I found you in good spirits. My name is Tatenda, back with another one, and I'm so humbled when legends keep on coming back. And the first time that Phila was here, it was because of the Men podcast.
Yeah.
And now he's coming back because of sport. So
Yeah.
I'm humbled. Thank you, Phila. A brief introduction of who Phila is. Phila is a presenter. He's a fashion icon. Why are you laughing?
No one has ever said that about me.
You are a fashion icon. Phila is a boyfriend. I think he's going to be married by the end of the year. Just
Very
putting
soon,
it out
very
there.
soon,
Yeah. You're on Supersport. You're on PHAKA. You are a cricket commentator. Welcome to Game On.
Tats, that is the most unique introduction that I've ever had. Thank you very much for inviting me back here again. I mean, it's I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing here.
Wow.
It's grown
Thank you.
immensely, which is great.
Awesome. Yeah. They always say when you go back to the same person for the second time, there must be change from the previous one. And that's exactly you. Because
Absolutely.
the first time that you came onto the podcast, you were just putting your foot in.
Yeah.
Then life just spiraled out of
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
So how have you been?
It's been good, Tats. I mean, like you say, the last time that we were here speaking, it was very much in the infancy of my TV and my radio career. It's grown in leaps and bounds since then. I think, as you mentioned, I've got my own show on Supersport.
We're chilling with the celebrities.
Yeah, no, which has gone great. It's something that I never imagined. But when God gives you an opportunity, you're kind of obliged to take it with both hands and try and make a success of it. So, I'm in that process. I'm on that journey now of just really making sure that what I have is extended, and I just put in the work. So it's been great. It's been really great.
Yeah. Amazing. Anyway, before we jump into why you are here,
yes.
we've got a few icebreaker questions.
Oh my
So we're gonna have
No fashion stuff.
so the icebreaker questions either have to do with sport or don't have to do anything
Cool.
with sport, but it's just an icebreaker question to sort of warm up the room.
Cool.
But then people like you don't need to warm up any room.
I'm already warm, Tess.
You come warm.
No.
Anyway, the first question is: never have I ever drunk down my ex.
Oh my goodness.
You did not expect that. Huh?
No. Like the first question is straight into.
Never.
Never.
Wow.
Never.
That means they hurt you. Huh?
Not,
If you don't think of them.
No. It was so admirable the way that we
Wow, we
broke
part
up,
ways, yeah.
that there was no need for us to go back to unspoken things because they were spoken.
Wow. I think everyone should come to you for relationship advice. This is what you do once you break up.
No.
So you don't drink down your exes. So yeah.
No.
Second question: never have I ever broken a bone.
No, never.
So what have you been doing with your life, bro? Playing it safe.
I've ruptured an Achilles.
Sure. Oh, I remember.
I
Yes.
ruptured an Achilles, so it's not really breaking a bone.
What happened when you ruptured it? What happened?
So I was playing a game
Yeah.
of cricket at the club.
Yeah.
And I think it was RPL.
Yeah.
And I was facing this young guy. He's got quite a bit of wheels on him. So he bounced me. I tried to hook. It got to me too quickly. I turned around. The pace of the delivery took me right around. So I took off from a very awkward position.
Yeah.
And that's when it.
Oh, so just snapped.
Yeah.
That must be painful.
Yeah, it was so, yeah.
That must be painful. Anyway, glad that you're back.
Yeah.
You even played rugby the other day. So
I regret it as well.
we're gonna get into it. Number 4, never have I ever kissed more than one person in 24 hours. Your partner is listening, so think carefully. But
Yeah, long ago, though. Long ago.
Oh, so you're safe.
Yeah. No, long ago.
Yeah.
Long ago. I have, yeah.
So that was you in your Casanova.
That was me in my youth.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Youth and stupidity.
Yes,
Yeah. The last one is never, ever ghosted somebody.
Oh, I've ghosted people.
Girls.
Yes.
Why? Because what? You don't like them, or they're just coming out too strong?
No, I think it was. I don't know. Maybe the interest just ran out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Midway, like
Midway.
No, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Yeah, no, I'm done with this. But that's also youth days.
Yeah,
I couldn't communicate
yeah,
why
yeah,
the
yeah,
interest is
yeah,
finished.
Yeah.
So I just go. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Gosh. Anyway, those are the 5 questions.
Yo. Now I'm cold now. I was warm,
Instead of warm, now
Yeah.
you're cold. Yeah. Anyway, no. But I'm not the one that came up with this, so it's
I
not
hope
on
it's
me.
not you.
It's not on me. I would never ask
I
you such
hope
questions.
it's
Come on,
not
you know me
you.
better.
Yeah.
You know me better. Anyway, the game on podcast.
Yeah.
When I started getting into podcasting,
Yeah.
it was more on the mental side of things. And for the longest of time, people were asking me, why don't you do something that's closer to what you already do?
Yes.
Because it's not like I work and do mental stuff and
Exactly.
psychology stuff. Then I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
Until I was sitting down and Pumza was like, let's find names. So she gave me 3-4 names. Then Game On was part of it. I'm like, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to speak about,
Yeah.
but already the title is there. So then Hero came about.
Yes.
And me and Harry, obviously, we've been together at the club and all that. So we're like, we're going to start together. Him being my co-host. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight. And from there, I was like, how do I speak about other sports? Because I know cricket.
Yes.
But then where do I get the guys to speak about soccer, rugby, and this and this?
Yeah.
And they're like, we just swing it.
Yes.
So we've just been winging it. Then Aya, the production manager,
Yes.
shout out to Aya.
Yeah.
He is the production manager.
He was like, you better be
On time. Wow. So shout out to Aya. Then that's when he's like, gents, Phila. I'm like, the guy is verified now, so we don't just go to him without going to his manager.
No, nothing like that.
So you now, the last interview that we did on mental health and men, you said you're trying to put your foot into cricket commentary. Then you took a 360 turn into rugby. Take me through that.
It wasn't exactly a 360, Tats. I think, because I grew up in an environment where sport was sport. It wasn't defined whether you were a cricketer or a rugby player. Or I played so many different sports growing up. Cricket was obviously the main one. Rugby in the winter, and split with hockey. And then I would also play a bit of football. So I played a lot of things. So the interest with sport has always been, sort of diverse. So how I got into rugby with PHAKA was so coincidental because I never planned to be there. I sort of, was at the right place at the right time. Kind of a thing,
Okay.
And people always ask me this, like, how did you become the presenter
for rugby?
For
a rugby show, yeah.
And I was like, well, I kind of put myself there by being interested in it, So I my background is obviously as a journalist, so I wrote about a lot of things, and then the producer of the show one day, at the beginning of this year, called me and said, listen, we're changing things up on the show. We're thinking of you coming on board as the presenter of the show. So I was like, wow, when and how did this come about,
Yeah.
But I had been on the show as like a guest and an analyst before, so I kind of sort of, probably that was the introduction to it, but I never really planned for it to.
So
to
you never
happen.
put in your word out or say, this is what I aspire to do?
I was just happy being a guest on the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
And obviously they liked your energy or something.
Yeah.
And how has been the journey?
It's been good, I think the first month and a half was very nerve-wracking because there's pressure, there's pressure.
I don't remember seeing you
There's
nervous.
pressure.
Yeah.
I'm always nervous.
Wow.
I'm always nervous. There was pressure, because now this show is, I'm responsible for the show. I'm the one that gives voice to rugby in South Africa for black people.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it works with you, but when you speak your home language in front of a camera,
it's different.
It's a different story. When
yeah.
you're speaking it with
in
your
English,
friends.
with your mates, it's fine. No, English is a lot easier. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there was pressure on the lingual part of it as well. I had to really sit down, and my mother helped me a lot with some words as adjectives to use in dialogue.
Yeah.
The correct way of saying things. And not just saying how I think it's said, and then
someone else is listening.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was the challenge. It still is the challenge. You gotta try and I try and prepare as best as I possibly can, and that's the challenge.
But tell me, if you're producing a show that is in your home language,
Yeah.
and we live in a world where you hardly speak your home language.
Yeah.
If you do, maybe it's one statement, the rest is English.
Yeah.
Now you are in a show that's for an hour.
Yeah.
You have to be vernac.
Yeah.
That's challenging.
It's challenging. That's because, firstly, I went to schools where it was predominantly English. speaking,
Yeah.
So you think in English. You speak predominantly in English.
Yeah.
Everything that you do
It's
is
English. Yes. Yeah. The workspace is English.
Exactly. So now you have to try and go back to sort of factory settings and speak in your home language, and that was difficult.
Yeah.
It's still difficult, but that's why when you're on a journey, you gotta be vulnerable enough to ask for help. Whenever you feel like something is you're not quite grasping something, and that's what I've been able to do.
What kind of challenges would you say you would face as a presenter, so much so that you would go to another person and say, I'm struggling with 1, 2, and 3? Would you give me an example?
So maybe I'm trying to have a discussion about a particular topic, but I know that my vocabulary is not
the right one,
long enough or enough for me to try and present this topic in the way that it's supposed to be and covers things. So I think that's the biggest challenge is to formulate a vocabulary, and a big enough vocabulary for people at home to understand, your panelists can understand, but also not too deep. It's such a fine line between speaking, isiXhosa that is deep, that only resonates with people that are 60, 50 years old. You still have to know your audience. We mainly, sort of target the middle class working people, which are your 25 to about.
But those are speaking English predominantly.
Exactly.
As well.
So you kind of have to mix your vocab, to suit that,
to balance
kind of
out.
Yeah. So
at the same time, you're not leaving out that 60-year-old,
because they're also
if they are
important.
watching, they are also important.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
that's been the challenge.
That's how are you then balancing the cricket side and the rugby side? Is it because it's seasonal sports, so you can quickly jump back into commentary?
Yeah. I'm fortunate in that it's seasonal. I don't know how it's gonna work now because there's 2 Rugby World Cups
and the World Cup coming exactly at the same time.
So,
yeah.
It's a juggle, It's a juggle. It's also hard work. there's great people at Supersport that manage that kind of that anticipate that kind of clash, and formulate schedules accordingly. And you might miss out somewhere, but you obviously you make up somewhere else. So it's going to be interesting actually, because
with the World Cups coming up,
with those two World Cups coming up, but it's it's more than manageable.
Yeah. So Phila has now moved from being just a cricket commentator to a rugby analyst.
Yeah.
And we've got the Rugby World Cup coming up. Where do you see us being as the Springboks?
It's tough, I think it's this Rugby World Cup is going to be tough for the Springboks. I mean, they come in as defending champions from 2019, so they've had a target on their back since 2019, and whenever they've gone out onto the field, you see how much teams really prepare against the Springboks. They prepare very well. Argentina this past weekend also were so good in terms of their preparation and trying to nullify the Springboks' main threats, and make sure that they try and get themselves into the game. So it's going to be difficult from that point of view.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the Springboks, honestly, I don't think that the Springboks are going to be able to defend that World Cup.
That's your professional analysis.
I don't think that they're going to be able to, but they can get close enough to a semi-final, final, because of the experience that they do have in that group. It's a group that it's been on a journey for 8 years, so they kind of know how to play the big moments. But it's going to be interesting. So a lot of teams have also sort of caught up to sort of the modern day way of playing. The All Blacks will always be favorites.
They're always,
Ireland is a hot favorite, but it's going to be interesting.
Australia did well as well. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, but I mean, they've changed coaches now, so it's still tough for them a little bit.
Do you think us not having Siya Kolisi is playing a major role in us not being the favorites?
Well, it's
is Siya going to be ready for the World Cup?
Yeah, he's probably going to play against Wales in the second warm-up match, leading up to the World Cup. But it's so tough because he's been injured for quite a long time, so it's different preparation for him heading into France this year. It's going to be challenging for him to come back and be the same, Siya Kolisi as we know him. Knee injuries are always like that. It becomes a little bit...
Comes back,
it takes a while for you to actually trust that your knee is not going to go.
Going to go again.
Yeah, so... Yeah, it might play a role, but I think, he'll be back. He'll definitely be back. He'll definitely go to France to try and defend that World Cup. Whether it's going to be the same Siya Kolisi that we know
or not.
You never know.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying we're not the favorites. I get that part. But then since 2019, have we changed have we progressed from who we were in 2019? Because you can't come back from 2019 and say you're still going to defend and expect everyone else to sort of be under you or on par. Have we? What strides have rugby in South Africa done to sort of change the narrative to having more Siya Kolisis, more Mampipis, all that with regards to development, and still making sure that we've got good enough a team to still win the World Cup or challenge that title? Has the rugby done that?
I think COVID put water on a lot of those kind of plans. I mean, we lost a whole season to COVID-19, so it's been tough from SA Rugby point of view to try and develop, the next generation of players, because if you look at the squad that's around now, it's majority of the guys that have played since 2018, 2019.
So they're old.
The average age is about 32, 33.
They're old. In sports, that's old.
Exactly.
That is old.
You passed your prime. So it's been tough. But I think from the guys that have come in after 2019, the guys like Kurtley Arendse, Kanan Moody, There's some really nice youngsters coming through, which will form the backbone of the next 4 years for South Africa heading into the next World Cup cycle. But the future will always be bright for South Africa. You know, we've got so much talent at our disposal. Whether you're a cricketer or a
there's so much,
a rugby player. You know,
Yeah.
most of our cricketers and our rugby players play for other nations.
But then why is it with the rugby, it seems like there is more of a pull than there is in other sports? Why I say so is because you look at Varsity Cup.
Yeah.
That is widely publicized, or is it because of the sponsors? But the pool of players that are in Varsity Cup, you don't get the same thing with cricket or any other sport. And two, I was listening to one of the parents from Trinity, the school. I think under 11 kids. They were going to play somewhere in Krugersdorp.
Yeah.
They were paying to get in and watch. Yeah. So I'm like, the amount of enthusiasm in rugby, if we could get that in other sporting codes, I think the sport in South Africa in general, overall, it will be on a different scale. Is it because rugby has got more sponsors than cricket or other sports too?
It's structure and pipelines. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned Varsity Cup. That's one of the feeder systems to professional rugby. You know, that's semi-professional. That's student rugby.
Yeah.
And once you have good administration, not even.
So why are other sporting codes not copying something that's working?
And it's not something. It's not only good administration. You just have to have people that are committed to do that.
Yeah.
And mostly in South Africa, we've got an administration problem where we're not up to par with some of the other nations in terms of administering or administering a sport. You know, rugby is probably the better of all the sporting codes that we have in South Africa, where the structures are there from, you know, you go down as far as under 13 Craven Week, and then you go under 15, under 16, under 17, under 18, under 19.
There's a pool.
There's a pipeline, there's a structure
proper,
that feeds up into the top one, you know.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get to under 18 Craven Week, you've already been in the system
for long enough, forever.
Exactly, you know. So I think that's where most of South Africa's sporting problems lies, that administratively we're not as strong as we should be to try and support the talent that we have, because the talent is there. It's how you administer it.
And one would think that it's just an easy copy and paste, because if rugby are doing it and look at the World Cups and whatnot, surely soccer should be doing the same thing, which is not happening. Cricket is struggling and sort of coming back. We spoke about the quota system. And how it's seen with so much of a defensive or a vengeful mindset and whatnot. What has rugby done differently when it comes to quota system? Because the black guys that are in the rugby are not there because of quota system. They are there because they can play. Why is it difficult for other sporting codes to sort of take that, and with the soccer to still get a white guy to come in and play at the highest level? Why is it with rugby it was a lot easier and without scrutiny, yet other sporting codes are getting so much scrutiny over there?
There'll always be scrutiny when you speak about fairness and leveling the playing field. We have a very unique country. We've got a unique set of sporting prowess in South Africa, because, you know, when you speak about quota system, people already think that, you know, you're black, you're not good enough to be only here because we have to make up numbers, which isn't true. You know, there's so much talent, and I think Magazole Mapimpi is probably the prime example of a person that never came through the traditional structures from rugby. He never played any form of Craven League.
Yet he's this good.
He never played Varsity Cup. He never played never came through the pipelines, you know. And it's club rugby that really put him on the map, and then, you know, he got into the provincial setups, and then that's where, you know, he got noticed from a Springbok point of view. But when you speak about transformation, particularly, it doesn't take. I don't think it's something that you look at from top to bottom. You got to look at it from bottom to top, where you have to develop from the bottom.
Yeah.
And development. I mean, you're a coach. You know how much facilities play a role, equipment, nutrition.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You don't just say, "Oh, we like this kid.
Go.
We're gonna just put him in and play." That kid probably
You're killing
doesn't-
him.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
probably the
yeah.
kid doesn't have. He comes from the township. He doesn't have 3-4 meals a day. He probably only has one.
He's hungry. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so how
Or
do you
even
develop-
that one meal is not even a balanced diet.
Exactly.
It's just
you know,
food.
just for him to not
To
go-
die.
Yeah,
Not to
for him
fade.
die, you know,
Yeah.
so that's the core of transformation, is to be able to develop the previously disadvantaged, the disadvantaged talent, and make them the polished product holistically, and not just focus on their talent and what they can do for you on the field.
Yeah. Then why is it now? So does that mean the communication or the thinking behind transformation is not being put across in the right way? Because there is so much scrutiny with it.
Yeah.
Everyone looks at it as political or
Yeah.
trying to be vengeful. And does this mean the administrators are not communicating it right, or we're not doing our part as well as society to try and understand where this is coming from?
I get from a political point of view, I think, you know, government was forced to have those kind of sort of laws and rules in place, if for lack of a better term, to help fast track the development of black people, because, you know, in apartheid times that never happened. You know, you were so far behind that the government is forced to fast track it, and it's not a bad thing when it's administered right. You know. And if it's communicated right, that's why I say, you know, infrastructure at places where, you know, black people can access them is important, and that's where laws and rules come in from a government point of view, from a political point of view. But I think from a societal point of view, sometimes we don't understand what it takes to become a professional. You know, we always think that to be a professional, you just have to have talent, and
Talent alone is not
going to
to
get you there.
Yeah, it won't.
So I think that's where the misinterpretation is, and people not opening their minds to what is being done here to help make sure that there is talent from a bigger pool of people in South Africa, a bigger demographic of people in South Africa, and not just certain demographics.
Yeah. I always say the same thing, that in as much as, yes, you want development and there is structures that are being put in place, great. But then if the mindset hasn't changed, then all those for all those facilities are just going to be ruined.
Yeah.
Reason why I say so is I still remember with Cricket South Africa, they built Bram Fisher Sports Complex.
Yeah.
And it ran for one season. Yeah. Afterwards, covers were stolen and this is vandalized and all that. And it comes back to, I don't think the black society has understood exactly what needs to happen for them to then make it to the top. Because now if you're just going to throw them at the top just because of quota, they get there and, all of a sudden I've got money in my bank account. I've got a physio at my disposal. So I can go to the party and come back next day, I'll still be okay. Yeah. As opposed to a kid that has grown up from primary school, they've been treated right. They've got a bio, they've got a physio, they've got this. So it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, are we not screwing up sport by throwing blacks into the deep end?
You got to change, to get a professional, you got to change the circumstance. So, you know, what's the average black person's circumstance? They don't come from, you know, privilege. So it's the understanding of being a professional is not instilled at a young age, because there's other focuses. You know, there's a different focus to raising a Tats, a Phila. 'Cause I remember my parents. You know, the sport wasn't a priority.
No, go to school. Go to school. Go study. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working so that you're able to have food.
Exactly. Yeah. Not to buy you a set of cricket pads or a bat or a rugby ball. Yeah.
So if you change the circumstance, and I think that's where, you know, society can help in terms of making sure that you change the circumstance so that you can create a professional by changing their circumstance. It's hard to think about being a professional if you don't have meals. You know, if you go hungry in a day, you don't think about I need to. One day I'm gonna be a Springbok. No, you're thinking about
I have to eat for now.
Eat,
yes, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing. You know, from an economic point of view, that's where it needs to change. The society, the circumstances of black people is still very much far behind, as opposed to their counterparts. And that's the reality of it. You know, the socioeconomic issues that face black people is not the same as other races. So once you change the circumstance, you begin to try and level the playing field in terms of creating or forming a professional out of somebody. Because, you know, other demographics don't have to think about, you know, what I'm going to eat. The food is already there.
Exactly.
You know, how am I going to get to
the car is there.
The car is there. Mom will take me. Yes. Dad will take me. You know, I don't have spikes. Oh, okay.
I need new ones.
Exactly. You know? So when you don't have to think about things. Your only focus is being a professional. You know? And as opposed to having to think about where am I going to get my next meal? How am I going to get to this practice? It's a different set of circumstances.
I like how you're saying if we don't change the narrative or the circumstance, even if we throw in the best facilities, it's still going to be vandalized. Because at the end of the day, I'm thinking if I sell that net, I'm going to buy food. If I sell those covers, I'm going to buy food.
What's more important?
I have to eat.
Exactly.
This cricket thing or this rugby thing, oh wow. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, at least I've had something to eat. So it's really tough. I always looked at transformation as like, yes, it's a good thing, but then it's something that was supposed to have been done decades ago, not to wake up now and sort of play catch up. Because in us playing catch up, our sports are dying. Or struggling, rather, not dying. So you look at someone like, I don't know if rugby players are also moving countries and changing citizenships and all that. But there are countries that are taking literally every sporting person. The United States, for one, they're taking guys, your Dane Pitts and them, they are now locals. Does rugby still... Because obviously, when a player leaves South Africa to go and join another country, we've lost talent. Are rugby players also being lost in such pools, in such circumstances?
Heaps.
Really?
Heaps. I think on average, I don't even have the numbers for it, but there's a big pool of South Africans that play for other nations. I mean, there's one now playing for Scotland, Duan van der Merwe. Van der Merwe in Scotland.
Never, exactly. I mean, that's Afrikaans.
That's Van der Merwe in Scotland.
Exactly, yeah.
He grew up in George. You know?
He's a proper African.
Exactly. So there is that. And it's a two-way thing, Tats. You know, sometimes because of the talent pool that we have, and it's a big talent pool, some players are not going to play for South Africa. You know,
unfortunately, not everyone is going to.
Unfortunately, not everybody's going to play for South Africa, and I think economically as well. We're a developing country in terms of economics, as opposed to, you know, some other European countries, and some guys look at their economic, status and think, well, if I make 200,000 rand here in South Africa, and a French club is offering me 1 million.
It's a no-brainer. I need the money.
I'm gonna go there to look after my future. So it's a two-way thing. But there's a lot of talent that leaves South Africa from a rugby point of view, from a cricket point of view as well. I mean, you mentioned Dane Pete. There's so many others. Devon Conways.
Yeah. And they're doing well. And it hurts that you leave and you become the best that you are in another land where you're like, all the talent should be utilized for us, for here. Someone like Devon Conway, I think he's been on the top of his game for the past 3 seasons, and you're like, where did we go all wrong? Is it because you overlook players because you've got so many?
Yeah.
So the talent is just too much that you overlook great players, and it's a sad reality that we are suffering. Is it because of the economics as well and the money that countries are offering? Unfortunately, we can't match it. Huh?
Yeah, and I think another element as well is coaching. I mean, you'd be able to speak a little bit more about it, but I think sometimes in South Africa, from a coaching point of view, we'll become impatient.
Yes.
We look at Tats and we expect a final product from Tats when he still hasn't discovered who Tats is to be able to perform out on the field. And we lose faith with players pretty quickly, sometimes, and some players don't develop at the same rate. Look at the Devon Conway is a classic example. And I think kudos to him, because he was very honest about how and why he moved to New Zealand. He felt as if he just wasn't cutting it. He felt very stagnant. He just needed a fresh environment, and it wasn't because of anything else. It was solely on him. But I think from a coaching point of view, also, some coaches don't want to coach.
Yeah, true.
They just don't want to coach.
They're just there for the sake of, what am I going to get out of it? But the love for the game is really not there.
And that's sometimes is an issue for me, is that, we've got coaches that don't want to coach. They don't want to develop players. They don't want to show the patience to say, there is something here, but it's just taking a little bit longer.
Just wait.
It's taking a little bit longer than an AB de Villiers to come out. So, and that's where the coaching comes in.
Because the way Devon Conway is just sprung up, bruh, from the time that he was at Strikers and doing absolutely nothing, to him being the man that he is now, it's really sad that we lost such. So let's come back. Phila went to play rugby. Obviously, you played rugby in high school.
Yeah.
And
they should have stopped there.
Who asked you to, or where did the peer pressure come from to say, but let's go for a game?
It literally is peer pressure. No, so we got various touch rugby groups that I'm in. So one guy was like, hey, we're short for a third team game. We're short of numbers. Is there anyone interested? We'll promise it will only be 15 minutes or 30 minutes.
You're done.
Play.
Oh, okay.
So I thought, it can't be too bad.
It can't be
it's
15
minutes.
Even if it's 30, it's not as bad.
It won't be bad.
Especially because you play soccer, indoor soccer. So you're like,
I thought, little did I know. I recovered after a week. 3 ice baths later, my partner was up to here.
I'm done with this.
No way I'm doing this again. So it was terrible. It was a terrible decision.
Is it something that you would do again?
Well, It probably would be.
You know how it is where you wake up on a Sunday or on a Monday with the hangover. You're like, I'll never drink again. I'm
Friday.
sick. Come Friday, hey, gents, where are we going? Where are we going, gents? Yeah.
No, but it's. I mean, for me, it's sport is in my heart.
Yeah.
You know, Ted. So even if you ask me now, listen, we've got a game.
Let's go.
A cricket game on Sunday.
Let's go.
Let's go play.
Yeah, like, yeah, sure.
So I'm like, sure.
I don't have anything else to do.
I've got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Why not go play a game of cricket? You know,
exactly.
so that's how, you know, sort of my brain operates, where it's gonna take a while for me. I mean, I'm only 32, so I still got,
There's still so much.
I still got some years to play, but I'm not 21. I'm not 22.
But they say once you hit 30, it's a different ball game. Everything is tough. Yeah. Literally. So you're with PHAKA. What's next? My next question would be, okay, what's next? And also, how has your life changed ever since you joined Supersport? Because you're a man on radio, and I still remember asking you, if a radio gig was to come through, would you take it? Then Supersport came and just overtook you. Yeah. How has that changed your life?
Immensely. You know, it's, you know, when you dream of being in a certain place, and you finally realize it. I think I'm in that position now where I've always wanted to be in an environment where I get to do and live my passion. That for me, being here is already enough for me. You know, I think you asked me this question
the last time. Well, yeah.
I try not to look there. I look here and try to enjoy where I'm at. If anything else comes in the future, it's a bonus. I think when I said this to you then, I really didn't think that I'd have my own show, presenting my own show. I'm still in the commentary box. I never saw it, but I enjoyed where I was first before I even thought about anything else in the future. So I don't know what's next.
But then they always say that always have your 5-year plan.
Yeah.
What's your 5-year plan then with PHAKA? Because obviously someone like me, when I'm watching PHAKA, I'm watching it for the fact that it's you, because I know you. But I won't understand quite as much as the dynamics behind the show and all that. And if I were to ask, what's the 5-year plan with that? Where are you looking to? Are you going to expand into producing only, or where is Phila going?
I think we wanna make that show one of the biggest shows in the country. You know, we want, and we've got a unique opportunity now with the Rugby World Cup to really, you know, make it something that people want to go and tune in on a Tuesday evening and say, we want to listen to those guys speak about rugby, you know. And we've got alignment, which is great for us. You know, the producers are great. They've got alignment in wanting to grow the show. The people that work on the show, the analysts, myself, we're all in alignment to make the show bigger than us, so that whoever, you know, takes it on after we've left just comes in and has the same sort of mentality to grow the show and make it bigger. And I guess that's what I want. You know, I want to be able to say, when I look back at it, I contributed to making this show, PHAKA, the show that it is right now. Yeah.
Do you watch yourself like every Tuesday? Do you?
No. You know, it's tough. It's tough watching yourself. I'll tell you a story. So I was at home in Grahamstown with my mother, and we'd shot the we shot the one of the episodes on a Saturday, so we sort of shot it in advance.
Oh, I see.
And then I went home, and then so we were sitting in the living room with my mother. So it's airing on Tuesday. I'm already
You're home.
Grahamstown.
Yeah.
And my mom's religiously
she watches. Yeah.
So she's like, "Yo, let's switch on the TV." So I'm like, "No, please,
please."
She's like, "What?
Yeah.
We're used to watching." So it's weird for me to watch it, but I kind of force myself to watch it because there's a small part of me that is a perfectionist that I want to watch and not watch from a critical point of view, but watch from, okay, what can I do better?
Okay. I should have done this. I
could have, but less of that, just more of, okay, this is the standard from last week. How can I improve on next week? Not from, I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, so you don't want to be too critical as well. Yeah.
No. So I watch it to say, okay, this is the standard this week. Next week we take it up a notch, or we need to match that.
Wow. Is it? I thought it was pre-recorded. Is it not?
It is pre-recorded.
Yeah. Okay, so you can't record 2 shows in the week. Let's suppose you want to travel, you want to take leave. What? How do you manage that?
So the reason why we shot the one episode on a Saturday is because the rugby department was going on a strat planning for the Rugby World Cup. So then they went on a getaway thing for the week. So it was literally after all the games on a Saturday.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see.
So we shot it
because you need to include those.
So you need to, So, we watched those games, and then we went and shot the episode. So you can, but it probably can only happen on a weekend where you can shoot it on a Saturday or a Sunday after the games are played.
Oh, I see. Or because whatever that happened on that Saturday, Sunday needs it needs to be added on.
Yeah.
I can't let you go without coming back into cricket.
Yeah.
We're going into the cricket season, and are we still going to hear more of you with the commentary?
Definitely, Tats.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, rugby people are gonna kill me for this, but cricket is my first love. Cricket is my first love. That's where I see myself. That's where I see me growing a lot more. There's so much that I want to do still from a cricket commentary point of view, not just in my home language, but also in the mainstream English. It's great opportunities, there's these leagues that are popping up. There's great opportunities to try and get yourself in there. So that's my goal, that's my aim, that's my plan to try and get myself into those leagues and really just grow my profile as a commentator. It's a tough gig. I think people they think that just sit there for 30 minutes, speak, go have tea, come back. Yeah, it's not like that. You have to be prepared. You have to watch. You have to ask questions, especially for somebody that never played professionally, because it becomes a whole lot more tougher because people sort of don't trust your voice. So you gotta be extremely convincing. And one of the ways is just to be prepared, ask questions from the pros, and be willing to learn and be open-minded when somebody says maybe that's not how you can put it, maybe that way. So there's a lot of growth in that space for me, and I'm hoping to get there.
Yeah. What has been your overview of the MLC? Have you watched a few games?
I watched the playoff games particularly, and I watched I think the losing finalists, the Seattle Alcas. Yeah. They put on scores of 200 twice in the tournament. So I watched those 2 games, and it's great, It's fantastic. It's great to see the game going into new markets. Yeah. That's the whole point of league cricket, is to grow the game in new markets, so that you introduce a new audience into the game, in the hope that they don't just take up the T20 form of the game.
And
They watch the ODIs and eventually Test match cricket. That's where, sort of the pinnacle of cricket is.
Yeah.
I watched MLC. It was great. It was fantastic.
But then if you were to compare MLC to SA20, because these were both, obviously we had the Mzansi Super League at some point, but if we look at the standard with this SA20, I think we were a notch above. Is it because South Africa is already a cricketing nation, as opposed to, because most of the guys that are in the States, they are immigrants, the Indians, whatever. But that's how I felt. We both are starting with something new, yet ours was match with the IPL, if I can put it that way. Did you feel that when you were watching the MLC?
Yeah, I think whenever you venture into new markets, that's the kind of response you're gonna get, where it'll take time for the MLC to, I don't know the numbers, but when you watch it, it looked like the stadiums were full.
They were full,
Grand Prairie looked very, very, very full. North Carolina also looked pretty full when I watched some of the games that were being played in North Carolina. But it's kind of hard to compare MLC to SA20 because obviously we're a traditional cricket playing nation, where there you're competing with.
You've got the NFL, you've got
NBA, You're competing with traditional sporting codes there, where cricket is not. It doesn't.
They don't care.
Lot of competition.
They don't care about it. So, not as much.
So it's gonna take a bit for MLC to really skyrocket. But I think from an inaugural edition, it exceeded all expectations.
Amazing. Well done to America. The Ashes.
Wow.
What has been your overview? The drama, the scandals.
Do you know what I learned from the Ashes?
Yeah.
Is that cricket players do not know the laws of the game.
Clearly. And they're professionals.
They don't read the law book.
Yeah.
And it was so fascinating because the general trend throughout those 5 test matches were controversial decisions. When are you allowed to step out of your crease?
But it's standard. It's there in the rule book.
It's there, but you kind of get confused about it because you just trust what the umpires is saying, but you don't know.
You don't know it yourself.
But other than that, fantastic series,
It's been amazing.
It's fantastic. I think some of the comments that came out afterwards from the players yesterday was, they hope that, test match cricket is alive again, and that kind of standard sort of filters through to other test playing nations, and that's what we really need. We need that kind of entertainment. I love how England play their game, how they speak about the style of play that they're playing. They want to entertain. And that's how cricket is going. You can't just get entertainment from a game of T20. It needs to each different format needs to have that aspect of entertainment, and I think the Ashes were incredible.
Yeah,
people compare it to the 2005 series, which was
exactly that was the best. And I always said, baseball, cricket, is it really working in their favor? Because if they're then losing, do they then go back to their traditional way of playing cricket? And someone says, then there's no point because change is gonna take time.
Yeah.
So just because it's not working now, it doesn't mean it will carry on not working. At some point, it's going to click.
Yeah.
And you look at Joe Root is coming in and reverse sweeping for 6. It's something that's unheard of, especially in Test cricket, because we know that, it's outside off stump. Now guys are just hitting that ball off the length onto the banks. Phila, you've been amazing.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Do you think that, you're a coach.
Yeah.
Does that change your coaching philosophy when you trying to coach young guys coming up to say, because they're gonna watch Joe Root do that in a test match, and they think. And they come to you and say, "But Coach Tats, I want to learn how to do that." You know. So does it change your coaching?
I think for the longest of time, I've adopted the Australian way of cricket.
Yeah.
Where see ball hit ball.
Okay.
Like all my boys, for the start, usually I started them with probably 7 years old, 8 years old. At that point, the first 3 years, I'm just saying hit ball. Yeah. I don't care if you're taking it from outside off stump, it's going to leg side. Yeah. As long as you're hitting it so much so that when a kid sees it in the air, they don't want to go catch it. Okay. So it's always been that let's stop this whole thing of if it's outside off stump, it must be driven through the covers, or you must leave it, or the ball was short and wide, then you're supposed to cut. Yeah. If you have ways to score runs off that ball, or you see, okay, it's a length ball, I was supposed to defend it, but defense is not going to give you a run. Yeah. So find ways to score runs. So that has always been my approach when it comes to my coaching. So
any pressure with that? Does it come with pressure?
It does, because sometimes now the kid is just going to get in and swing.
It's like Coach Tats.
You see, Coach Tats say it, exactly. Okay. But then sometimes when it works, then the parent comes and they're like, geez, he's hitting the ball nicely. Yeah. Then I still remember once I had a parent that came to me and was like, Tats, I don't know what he's doing, because he's opening the bat and first ball he's just swinging at it. And like, ish. So it bites sometimes. And I was speaking to one of the boys that I just started coaching 2-3 weeks ago. He's 9, Evan. And I said to him when we started, they were playing in the same team as Alake. And I said, the only thing that we're doing for the next 8 weeks is to fix your swing. So all I need you to do is to swing that bat back to your shoulder as hard as you possibly can. So today the dad sends me a message and he says, no, he played a match for school. He got 48 not out. And they needed to win. I think they needed 18 runs off the last over. So he ended up on 48 not out. In the car, they're like, dude, how was it? It's like, I was just doing what Coach Tats told me. I was just hitting the ball. So that's it worked. But for the most part, sometimes it doesn't. So I guess with cricket, or with anything that is new, you just have to bite. When it works out, great. When it doesn't, always keep on.
And I guess it speaks to just setting out a path and a plan for success. Yeah, it's not always going to be clear cut. Like there are going to be moments where you're going to fall short of that plan or that sort of style of play. And I think that's what if I remember correctly, Ben Stokes they declared at the end of day one at Edgbits in the first test match. They declared on 390 something for 9, and they declared and they put Australia in, and they lost that match.
They lost that, yes,
And then people like, you know,
you shouldn't have declared.
You know, in hindsight, and I think I like what he said. Hindsight never loses.
True.
You know, hindsight never loses, but you know, we can't regret what we did because
and the next test I think they didn't declare and it almost went to a draw. It went to a draw actually. So you're like, hindsight, exactly. Phila, any last words from you?
Tats, thanks, man. I enjoy these kind of conversations. I mean, these are conversations that are great. You know, it's what is who and what I am. You know, so it's always a pleasure for me to come here and speak to you and us having a conversation, because it's basically a conversation. I don't even feel like this is
anything formal.
Yeah. So and that's what it's supposed to be. So thank you very much.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. Before I let you go, we've got another to finish to finish off. You said you were cold, so I don't know if I'm gonna put the last layer with that cold.
Okay, let's see.
Never have I ever tried marijuana or smoked marijuana.
This is gonna go live.
Yeah.
No, I have.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah.
How was the feeling?
The first time I did it. the first time I did it. So we were at the party. So it was like at a block of flats, and we were on the 3rd or 4th floor. So I had, you know, I was young, man. I was about 19 or something, just being a kid. So, you know, I started smoking, and then I had this great idea that we must take the mattresses from the bed and throw them down and jump from there.
Oh, gosh.
So that was the first time I did it. But yeah, luckily the people stopped me.
Thank goodness, because that was going to end.
Well.
Never have I ever had to take a walk of shame. I think this...
You need to explain what that is.
Phila gets out for a duck, Ondela and Aya, and then...
Oh, yeah. Plenty of times. Plenty times. And I know already, the minute I get out...
like, I'll score him, Sig.
I'm waiting for the first one. Timby.
Yini. Then you hear Ondela say, you got the best kid, man.
look good, but you look good from far, but far from good.
Who needs enemies? Yeah?
I never.
Never have I ever received or given a lap dance.
No, never.
That's not your cup of tea.
No.
Never have I ever relieved myself in a public pool. Okay, never have I ever peed in a public pool.
I have done that many times. I've done it so many times. Alak is like, what?
What? Exactly. Really?
Like, what?
And I always advise against it. Like, dude, don't ever do that. And then
it's something in the water that makes it relieves you. You got
let go.
You got no chance to get up and run to the bathroom. No.
Just release, man. Okay, the last one. Never have I ever maxed out a credit card.
No.
Good man.
No.
Finances are good.
No. Oh, not mine.
Financial service.
Not mine. My mother's was. She was so angry.
Yeah. Did you agree that you did it?
Yeah. She sent me to do something, and then I did.
And you did
that. Yeah, I did it.
Then
I did other things. And she was like,
and then
what's going on here? So I'm like, I needed this, and then she's like, never.
The last one before I let you go. A wise man once said, complete.
Be yourself. You only got yourself to be. Wow. So be yourself.
Wow.
Can't be anybody else. You'll fall short of being someone else. You'll never fall short of being yourself. So always be yourself.
Amazing. Phila, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, my brother.
Thank you for always taking time for us. And, you're one person that never thinks twice. If you've got time, you have time for us, and appreciate that.
No, it's a pleasure.
And with the season coming, are we going to see you on the cricket field?
I don't know. It's going to be tough. Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough playing some cricket this season. I mean, there's a lot that's happening. World Cups. So I'll try and fit in a game if I can.
Yeah.
But it's going to be difficult.
Awesome stuff. Anyway, if you're still here, thank you so much for being here. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing, and doing every nitty-gritty to make sure that Phila becomes the legend that he is. And for me, for us, it is humbling to see such great men still coming through to the show and speaking about their experiences and everything in between. My name is Tatenda. Like I said, Phila was here. Phila is coming back. Before I even tell him or before I even ask him, he's coming back. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good rest of the weekend. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow. Stay safe.